sand this thing with some 320, and then I'll hit it with a red Scotch-Brite. We'll go from there. Working the shooter lane over. It looks really good, but it's got some discoloration and some ground in dirt to deal with. We'll get to that part soon. Another thing that's got is some splintering at the ball drops on both of the end lanes. Pretty typical. Of course, it's got the hole wear on the turbo hole. This title's notorious for that. Deal with that. So I'm basically prepping everything so I can repair it. Drilling some pilot holes in this turbo hole wear just so I can get a good bite with my filler. When you don't have a huge amount of wear, then you're going to need something that's going to help anchor the material into the hole so you don't have to worry about it easily chipping out later. Gonna mask everything off so when I do fill it, it doesn't create more work by getting on things I don't want it to get on, or by my sanding through the artwork around it. So this is a fiberglass filler, and it does a really good job of making repairs. One of the things I really have to do, though, when I use this is I have to get out ahead of it pretty quickly and make sure that I shape it somewhat like I want it to be before it gets too hard, or else it's a nightmare trying to get it to sand without creating more damage. But that's what makes it a good choice, too, for a structural repair. Now, these recessed areas where it's routed that need to be repaired, those are particularly tough. Most of this I have to shape with a razor blade at first just to get in there, because you're not going to get in there easily with sandpaper or anything else. So kind of got to work that out initially with a razor blade and give it some shape, and then you can get in there and be more specific later. Wrapping a block with some sandpaper. It's really important that you wrap something really tight, because if you have something wrapped loosely, it's going to round everything off. I need sharp corners to do all the shape work, and so it's essential that the block is really tightly wound, I'll say, with the sandpaper, and so that's a way of doing that. And then same thing with the dowel that you see me using. Wrap a dowel the same way and really shape those holes. And I think this right here is a little special metal piece of metal that I've had for many years that does a great job of making those more rounded, factory-looking corners on the inside, so things don't look like they're just squared off. All right, now I can smooth all those rougher sand scratches out with the finer sandpaper, and I'll be ready to go. I'll be able to do something with this thing. The structural repairs will be done. All right, it's blown off, it's wiped down, I can see what I got. I need to repaint pretty much all the red. There's insert wear, there's ramp flap wear, and it's spread throughout the entire playfield, and there's even some loop wear where the dirt's just ground in around the perimeter there. So I'm just going to cut out all the red and repaint all the red, relatively speaking. I won't get inside every little single detail, but all the large and not so large areas, anything I need to do to make it look convincing, I'll do. And I do it by laying out that masking material. It's a frisket-like material, and just cutting it out with a razor blade. No fancy equipment. I mean, it's all manual cutouts and a steady hand. Ready to go. I had to mix up some reds, and I had to play around with it a little bit. I got a nice shade of red. The thing about the reds is it's a hard to cover color, so I usually will go a little bit towards the darker side so I get some good coverage, and that's another reason that you'll see me kind of do more of a perimeter paint on there. If you're doing something small, you can mix it up dead on the money. That's pretty easy. But if you have a lot to repaint, it's usually better to default to something that you know is going to cover well and it's going to look good. So we'll see how that goes. All right, all those hours spent cutting everything out, and just takes a couple minutes to rip all this stuff off here, and it looks really good. It looks really good. So happy with that, and we move to what's next, which same process, but now I'll be hitting the wood tones. This gets pretty complicated. Not just the cuts, because obviously there's a lot of wood to cut out, but the way this gets shaded and painted and the techniques, and we'll go over it once I get it ready to go. Okay, I'm tinting up some wood tones right now, playing around with it, and it can be a pretty tough job matching wood with paint, but I know what I'm looking for, I know what I'm up to, and I'll get it done. Initially, I want to start out with something a little bit dark, so we'll get this in there, and we'll be ready to spray. Initially, I want to go with something a little bit dark to cover the fillers and the bulb burn and things like that. Now, you don't want to just start spraying it on everything, because what will happen is you'll lose all of your wood tones and all of your natural wood grain. You just want to hit, almost like a bullseye. You want to hit just the things that need it. And then what you see me doing here is with another color, I'm starting to blend it out. This is going to be a thinner, lighter color. And then I've got a third color right here that I'm going over top of that with, and this will give effect. Now I'm shading the recesses. I want the recesses to look like they're truly recessed. I don't want them to look like the same color as the top layer. And I think I'm doing the same thing there. Now I'm going to deal with the shooter lane. I sand any of the overspray that's gotten on there off, so I'm back to a natural shooter lane, and then I'll just lightly candy that so it blends in with the repainted areas. And it's pretty important that I don't go too heavy here, and that I also catch it from both directions, and you'll see it just fade right on in there as I do that. There you go. I'm darkening that one recess there. It'll be covered, but why not? Gonna get it unmasked, and I think I have just like maybe a couple minor details to hit, and then I should be ready to clear this thing for the second time. All right, just this one insert to repaint the border on. Everything else was good, and this was actually Mylar removal that created a little bit of a chip in that one insert, so pretty easy. Little black border, and now I'm ready to clear. Always tack everything off. It doesn't matter if you're going to sand it and buff it or sand it and clear it again. Just get it as clean as you can. First coat of clear. Not too aggressive yet, but I'll probably pound that second clear on there pretty heavy because I have so many repaints and repairs to bury. Second coat comes from the opposite direction. That just helps really make sure that you're giving a thorough coating and everything's going in all the holes and all the recesses equally from both directions. And this is a pretty slow, methodical coat that I put on there. That's 2 coats, and there it is. Yeah, that looks really good. The recesses I'm particularly happy with. One of the things that you'll notice, and I'll show you, or I'll talk about this in detail in just a second, is see the little registration marks right there, the kind of like the bullseyes. You can still see those. That's what I use as an indicator to make sure I'm not burying that natural wood. I mean, I need to candy it, I need to make repairs, but I don't want to lose that natural wood. That's essential. So there's going to be areas you have to cover, but this area right here I had to clean up. The factory was actually a little bit sloppy right there. It was kind of had like this bleed over type look. You can see it on those smaller ones that I didn't do, but I cleaned those up pretty good. And I don't know, I really like the way the recesses look. You can see they're darker than the top layer. It looks more natural that way. And that's particularly important in these routed holes because those don't get covered with anything, so you will see them. Insert repairs, they look good. They're just circles. I might have offset 1 or 2 just to make sure I cover the damage without doing major surgery. And that turbo hole repair, that looks great. I'm real happy with that. I mean, it's not going to get too much better than that. And I mean, everything looks good. There's no reason to worry about anything else. I've got the ball drop wear fixed. That looks good. And what'll happen next is I'll just sand it and clear it one more time and catch anything I might have missed. All right, there you go. There's the little restoration, Playfield restoration video for you. So pretty involved. You know, what's weird about these, and I go over this all the time with people, they'll say, oh, it doesn't have much wear. But if you know what you're looking at, a lot of little things is just as bad as, you know, one big thing. Like one big section of wear can be just as easy or hard to deal with as a lot of little spots of wear. And what I ran into with that Indy 500 Playfield that I was working on is typical stuff. You got the turbo hole wear and some of the other hole wear, but more troubling than that, and also more typical, is the insert bordering, is what I'll call it, where the little cars have lifted in different spots and created a dark line around all the little cars in the red. So I had to basically cut out and repaint all the red. And the reason you would do that is because a lot of these things are connected. Like there's not good breaking points. Somebody will look at something and say, oh, well, it's only got a little spot of wear about the size of my finger. And I'll look at it and say, yeah, but that art and that shape continues around the entire playfield. There's nowhere to stop. The only way to do it is to do the whole thing. And so that's what you run into with something like that. You know, it's a big spot of wear, a spot of wear the size of a quarter in a condensed area that's framed well with art or borders is easier to deal with than something like what you just watched me deal with. And the wood tones are, that's something I really pride myself on. I'm very well versed at how to paint wood tones without ruining them. You have to fix the wear. You have to deal with, like, if you have ball burn, if you have filler that you've put in a hole, you've done these things. Yes, you're going to have to put paint directly on them. It's going to look like tan paint. But if you know how to fade and shade and work around it and transparencies and a lot of other things, you can give a pretty convincing look and not ruin the rest of the wood tones. I mean, if all the wood tones need to be at least brought up a level, that's cool, but you don't have to just bury them and ruin them. There's a look that people do with the squiggly line shit. Looks like beach erosion. I've had a couple of people send me playfields like that. I'm like, I'm not putting that in anything with my name on it. And there's another thing that people do where they just basically clear over all the ball burn and stuff. I think if you don't have the ability to do it right, that's probably the best scenario. Just clear over the ball burn. Once you put it all together, nobody's going to see it, but you still have to deal with the scoop hole wear or whatever you got going on there. Now, I'm pretty particular when I do it. You'll notice, like, I'm shading the little, like, where they routed the lower recesses of it and where the ramps land and stuff. I like that. Like, to me, I'm into that. I want to see, I don't want everything to be one color. I want you to know it's supposed to step down. It's supposed to route right there. I don't want to ruin the shooter lanes and paint them tan or square them off or make them look like backgammon tables or whatever people do. I actually, when I first started doing this, I didn't really have the knowledge quite yet of what I was looking for. And I was trying to mimic what I saw other people doing, and they were doing that. So I started doing it, and I think it was probably like 2006 or 2007 I had done something, and somebody said, yeah, that looks great, but the shooter lane looks like poop. And I was like, yeah, it does. I mean, I'm not saying they said it looked like shit. Like, they're saying it literally looks like poop, like a dog shit or something shit there. And I kind of looked at it, I was like, you know what, they're right. And, you know, that's how you get better at stuff. You get criticized and you absorb that criticism and you work at it. And so I was like, yeah, I don't ever want anybody to say something like that about anything I've done again. So there we go. You see what the outcome of that is. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. We'll get into the cabinets and some other stuff in the coming ones, but I want to break this down in the most palatable way possible for both you and I to get this done. All right, so I'll see you in the next one.